Hi and welcome. So this video we're going to look at a topic called trigonometry, right angle trigonometry in particular, and we're going to be able to find a side in a right angle triangle. So our learning intention is that people should be able to correctly label right angle triangles. This is very important. If you can't do that, you cannot achieve full marks. We're going to identify and choose a correct formula, and we're going to use trigonometry to calculate an unknown side in a right angle triangle, given one side and one angle. So prior knowledge is you should have some basic equation skills, being able to rearrange and solve for an unknown. You should be able to recognise, hopefully, if you've seen Pythagoras, which is the hypotenuse of a right angle triangle, and you should maybe have some calculator skills by now, and we're going to use some buttons that you probably haven't used before. So trigonometry stems from the Greek words trigonon and metron, meaning triangle and measure. So put them together, we formed trigonometry. So in maths, it is the study of the connection between angles and lengths of sides and triangles. At this stage, we're only looking at right angle trigonometry, but at National 5, there is some further trigonometry, and it's sometimes shortened to trig. So before we proceed, I have to teach you how to label a right angle triangle. Okay, it's not too difficult, you just have to remember 3 words and their positioning. So in any right angle triangle, we must label them, and I do it in this order, okay? Step 1, I'll label your opposite. Your opposite is the one across from the marked angle. Step 2, we do the hypotenuse, which is the longest side, usually the slope across from the right angle. And adjacent is the one that's left over, but the word adjacent means beside, so it's the one on the side beside, it's the side beside the triangle. So 2 examples here. So opposite the angle, so there's the angle of 30, so opposite that, we're going to call that the opposite, and I'm going to shorten it to op. The one across from the right angle is your hypotenuse, and I'm going to shorten that to height. And the one that's left beside the angle is your adjacent. Okay, so let's do the same again. Across from the angle is your opposite. Across from the right angle is your hypotenuse. And the one that's left over beside the angle is your adjacent. And it's really important we're able to do that so that we can choose the correct formula, because trigonometry in right angle triangles, there are 3 formulas we're going to look at. So pause the video, try these 2 on your own, and then check your answers on the next slide. So now I'm going to take you on and show you how to calculate the side in a right angle triangle. And now in all my examples, I have given you an angle and one other side, okay? And from this, we are able to work out another missing side, okay? This is tricky, but if you remember the steps that we're going to show you in the next slide, it's actually not too bad. So what we're going to use is a thing called sohcahtoa, right? This is an acronym like Roy G. Biv to remember the colours of a rainbow. It helps us remember the formulas. So sohcah and toa, if you look at the so, the connection, it goes S-O-H. If you look down at this formula here, it goes S-O over H. So that helps you remember that the formula for sine of your angle is O over H. Ka is C-A-H. Relate that down. There's your C-A-H. So it's A over H. So it uses your adjacent over hypotenuse. And then tan is T-O-A. So that gives you your tan O over A. Now this bit here is just your angle, okay? And we will have a number to put in there. And then it's just a case of substitution. So what we do is we're going to follow these 4 steps here. Step 1, we're going to sketch and label our triangle, like I've shown you in the previous slide. Step 2, we write out sohcahtoa, and we tick off the side that you know in the triangle. Step 3, you tick the side that you want to find out. Sometimes it's called X or Y or A or B. And then step 4, we choose the correct formula out of these 3, and then we substitute in our numbers. And there's one little more step to do, and then we get our answer. So let's have a look at some examples in action, okay? So example 1, here is my triangle. So step 1 was to draw and label the triangle. So it's already drawn. So remember, across from the angle is our opposite. Across from the right angle is our height. And the one that's left over next to the angle is our adjacent. Step 2 said to tick off the ones we know. So which side has got a number written beside it? We can clearly see the hypotenuse has a number beside it. So I'm going to tick off the H in sohcahtoa. Okay. Then the next step was to tick off the side you want, which is this one here. I want the opposite. So I'm then going to tick off opposite. And then we choose the formula which has the 2 ticks. So we're going to use SOH, S-O-H. So we're going to use sine. Okay. Also, it's worth noticing there is absolutely nothing written next to the adjacent. And which of your formulas has no adjacent in it? It's the sine one. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, we'll write out a formula. So it was sine of our angle equals O over H. Now our angle given in the triangle is 30, so this becomes sine 30 equals, now we don't have anything for our opposite, so you could leave it a question mark, you could give it a letter. I don't like giving it an X because X has already been there as an angle, so I'm going to call it Y, okay? And then our hypotenuse is 15, so it's Y over 15. Now we are one step away from getting our answer now. So we've got kind of an equation here, okay? It's not all in terms of letters and numbers, it's got a word in there as well, it's got sine. So it says sine 30 is Y divided by 15. Any fraction is a divide. So what is the opposite of dividing by 15? That will counteract that divide by 15 and get rid of it. So the opposite of dividing by 15 is times 15. So what actually happens is this comes up to the front here and becomes times 15. So it's 15 times sine 30 equals my Y. Now, the reason I put the 15 at the front is because I don't want you to write sine 30 times 15, because what will happen is if you're not using your calculator properly, your calculator might actually end up working out sine of 450 instead of sine 30 and then times it by 15. So to eradicate that problem, you bring the 15 to the front. Okay, and then you just go to your calculator and you type in 15 times sine 30, and you'll see 3 buttons near the top of your calculator saying sin, cos, tan, and this gives us the answer of 7.5. So Y is 7.5 centimetres. Okay, let's have another one. So that was one using sine. Example 2. So first of all, we're going to label the triangle. Across from the angle is our opposite. Across from the right angle is our hypotenuse. And the one that's left next to the angle is adjacent. So opposite hypotenuse, adjacent. Okay, the ticky bit now. Tick off the one you know. So we definitely know our adjacent is 8. So I'm going to tick A. We want to know our opposite. So I'm going to tick O. And we choose the formula that's got 2 ticks. Again, notice there is absolutely nothing next to hypotenuse, and the tan formula does not have hypotenuse in it. So the formula is TOA, so that means it is tan of the angle. It's OA, so O over A. Our angle is 60 degrees, so we have tan 60 equals, our opposite is our question mark, so let's call it Y again. And our adjacent is the number 8. Y divided by 8, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to bring that up and make it 8 times tan 60 equals your Y. Go to your calculator and type in 8 times tan 60 and we get the answer of 13.856. I'm going to do to 1 decimal place, so I'm going to say 13.9 centimetres to 1 decimal place. Okay, and it's important to write the 1 decimal place bit at the side because it's not accurate. Okay, let's do one more. So step 1, let's label it. Hopefully we're getting the hang of this now. So across from the angle is our opposite. Across from the right angle is our hypotenuse. And the one that's left over that we want to find out is our adjacent. Okay, we know our height, so we're going to tick height. We want to know our adjacent, so we're going to tick adjacent. You probably could have guessed, I've already used sine, I've already used tan, I'm going to use cos now. So cos of our angle, so cos x degrees is AH, so A over H. Okay, our angle is 25, so we have cos of 25 degrees equals, let's call it Y again, our hypotenuse is 10. divide by 10 on the right hand side becomes a times by 10 on the left. So 10 times cos 25. And if you go type that into your calculator, you will get y equals 9.06, so 9.1 centimetres to 1 decimal place. So now it's time to pause the video and try 4 of these examples for yourself. The answers are on the next slide. So what have we learned today? We have learned how to label right angled triangles correctly. That's the easy bit. We have learned how to identify the correct ratio correctly, hopefully following my steps. Tick what you know, what you want to know. Choose one with 2 ticks. And we've learned how to use some new buttons on our calculator as well. Thank you very much.